All right, let's just dive right into this explainer and tackle a truly massive, frankly expensive question for San Diego homeowners. So as the summer heat starts creeping up, a lot of you are probably looking at that aging air conditioning unit out in the yard and wondering, can I just swap this out for the exact same size? It is a huge financial decision, right? And getting it wrong, well, that basically means locking in a very costly mistake for the next 2 decades.
To make sure we get this exactly right, we're going to walk through a quick, no-fluff agenda today. We'll look at the same size swap trap, dive into San Diego's history with oversized ACs, spot the signs of wrong sizing, break down tonnage versus SEER 2 efficiency, and finally, look at the absolute only correct sizing method you should accept.
So let's kick things off with Section 1, the same size swap trap. We're going to look at what is easily the most tempting, seemingly simple option out there. Picture this, right? An HVAC contractor asks if you just want to swap your current unit for a brand new one of the exact same size. Sounds so much cheaper, doesn't it? I mean, the refrigerant lines are already there, the ductwork matches up, the air handler is good to go. But honestly, this is a massive trap if your home's original unit wasn't absolutely perfect to begin with. You could literally be paying thousands of dollars just to install a shiny new version of an old, lingering problem.
Here's the deal. A same tonnage swap is only a smart move if your old unit checks some very specific boxes. It had to cool your home perfectly on the absolute hottest days, keep that indoor humidity nice and low, and run in these long, quiet cycles without constantly clicking on and off. And, maybe the biggest catch, you can't have touched your house's physical envelope since it was installed. Basically, that original system had to be 100% perfectly sized from day one.
Which actually brings us to Section 2. San Diego's oversized AC history. Because as it turns out, finding a system that was perfectly sized from day one, it's actually super rare around here.
To really get this, we got to look at the history of San Diego real estate. So during that huge residential building boom, we're talking roughly 1992 to 2007, especially in inland spots like Escondido, Poway, and El Cajun, contractors were just moving incredibly fast. And to keep up with the pace, they kind of took the easy way out. They relied heavily on this fast rule of thumb, sizing units based strictly on square footage. The golden rule back then was just 1 ton of cooling for every 500 square feet. But that lazy rule completely ignored our very unique local microclimates, ultimately leaving thousands of homes with systematically oversized units. This comparison perfectly illustrates why that lazy rule fails so miserably in our area. Under California's Title 24, coastal zones, think La Jolla or Carlsbad, they run about 5 to 10 degrees cooler on a summer afternoon compared to inland spots. So a 2,000 square foot home out in Carlsbad usually only needs around 2.5 tons of cooling. But if you take that exact same 2,000 square foot floor plan and drop it right into the fierce afternoon heat of El Cajon, it might suddenly need up to 3.5 tons. Basically, square footage alone simply does not dictate your cooling needs.
So, how do you know if you're actually living in one of these homes with a poorly sized unit? Let's check out Section 3, Signs of Wrong Sizing.
The absolute most crucial thing to remember here is that bigger is definitely not better when it comes to AC. If your unit is oversized, you're going to experience something called short cycling. This is when your AC just blasts the house with freezing air, hits that target temperature on the thermostat in like 8 to 10 minutes, and then immediately shuts down. Because that cycle is so incredibly fast, the system literally never gets the chance to pull humidity out of the air. So your house feels cool, sure, but also terribly clammy. You'll really feel this in the mornings near the coast. Plus all those constant start and stop cycles, they pull massive electrical draws and just chew through your compressor's lifespan.
But wait, it's not just the original builder's fault. Let's say your unit was magically sized perfectly back in 2005. Have you made any major upgrades since then? Maybe you swapped out those drafty single-pane windows for modern dual panes, beefed up your attic insulation, or even just built a new pergola that happens to shade your living room windows. Every single one of these super common upgrades physically alters your home's thermal envelope. They shrink your home's heat load, which means, yup, your old AC tonnage is now officially wrong for your newly efficient home.
And that brings us to a really common myth some contractors might actually use to upsell you. Let's jump into Section 4, Tonnage versus SEER 2 efficiency.
Okay, when you're shopping for a new AC, you really have to separate these two distinct concepts in your head. Think of tonnage as your raw cooling capacity. It's the sheer muscle power of the machine, measuring exactly how much heat it can physically rip out of your home. SEER 2, on the flip side, is purely about electrical efficiency. It just measures how efficiently the unit uses electricity to flex that muscle. Higher CER2, it simply means a lower power draw on your SDG&E bill. This right here is incredibly important. Do not, under any circumstances, let a contractor convince you that buying a fancy, high-efficiency SEER 2 18 or 20 unit means you somehow need to buy a bigger size and tonnage. The actual, physical heat load of your house has not changed one bit just because the new machine uses energy better. The sizing logic remains exactly the same no matter how high that SEER 2 rating climbs.
So how do we actually find that precise sizing logic and truly protect your investment? Let's get into the exact solution right now in Section 5, the only correct sizing method.
First things first, if a contractor tries to kind of whisper that, you don't really need a permit to just do a simple AC swap, run the other way. San Diego County strictly mandates mechanical permits for an HVAC changeout. And this isn't just annoying bureaucratic red tape either. Pulling a permit triggers critical required inspections that catch shoddy ductwork, faulty electrical connections, and basically ensures you're up to California's Title 24 Energy Code. Any contractor trying to cut this specific corner is throwing up a massive red flag.
To meet those strict standards, the absolute best, really the only, weapon you have against getting the wrong size AC is demanding a real manual J load calculation. This is the gold standard of the industry. It is literally the only scientifically accurate method to size an HVAC system, completely tossing that old lazy square footage rule of thumb right out the window.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, an honest HVAC pro is going to spend about an hour at your house meticulously evaluating it. They're going to climb up into your hot attic to measure the insulation R values, calculate the U values on your windows, and check exactly which way those windows face the sun. They factor in your ceiling heights, your specific San Diego microclimate, the whole shebang. Only after crunching all that math will they output the exact BTUs per hour your specific home demands. It leaves absolutely zero room for guesswork.
There's a quote from our source material that I think just perfectly hits the nail on the head for what you should take away from this explainer today. Quote, "If they size your home by walking through it for 5 minutes and quoting the same tonnage as your current unit, that's a reason to get a second quote. If a tech basically just glances at the label on your old outdoor unit and writes up a quote for the exact same size, that is a huge warning sign. Demand the math or just demand a totally different contractor."
So, as you're looking at replacing your AC before the real brutal summer heat hits us, you gotta ask yourself a really tough question. Are you gonna settle for a blind, easy swap that might leave your home feeling clammy and absolutely jack up your energy bills? Or are you gonna demand the exact scientifically proven size that your home actually deserves? Look, don't spend thousands of hard-earned dollars just to lock in a 20-year-old mistake. Demand the manual J and stay comfortable all summer long.